Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is, oh, well, there she goes. That was my cat, Lily. We'll see if she pops back up here in just a minute or two. Looks like she's thinking about it. So, hey, this is what I hope will be a series of videos. And this one's actually a little bit late, because my goal is to do this at the end of each month. And so I was planning on doing this at the end of November, as you can probably guess by the November in review. There she goes. I planned on doing it at the end of November, but holidays, illnesses, other random what have yous, just things not falling into place or whatever. So here I am. It is late in the evening on Sunday, December, well, I guess now it is the 9th, technically. 24 hours away from my birthday, which, you know, woo. Anyway, isn't it weird, like, the older you get, like, the less your birthday means? I mean, I can't remember, like, I guess when I turned 40, that was kind of a big deal, you know. I mean, it was like, ooh, I'm 40, you know. I mean, like, I made it, you know. But everything since then, it's just kind of like, oh, you know, whatever. I mean, I'll take the day off of work and whatever, but I mean, you know, spend some time with my wife and my children, and kind of just have a nice day of like, well, probably hanging up Christmas decorations and doing some Christmas shopping, because the kids will be at school and my wife and I will be able to actually get some stuff done. But regardless, that's not the reason I'm here to talk about my birthday. I just get, ooh, look at this, an actual piece of paper with notes written on it, and so I can actually stay focused and hopefully get through all this. However, this is not full. I'm actually in the process of, when I came down here to get started to do this, I actually thought of other things that I wanted to say. So hopefully I'll remember those as I go through this. So this is just gonna be kind of like my November in review, and like looking back at like the month of November. And it's a lot of it will have to do with board games and board game related nonsense, but it will be other stuff as well that I'll touch on as I go on. So obviously in November, I didn't go to PAX Unplugged this year. It was one of those things where, because of my job situation being in flux and things kind of being up in the air, and plus, to be honest, having a convention again right after BGGCON. Okay, so like going back to like the very first year, the PAX Unplugged. No, this is nothing against PAX Unplugged. I went to PAX Unplugged. Was it last year? I'm pretty sure it was last year. I went to PAX Unplugged. I was still with Tasty Minstrel Games at that time. And I loved the convention. It was very well run. The people were excellent. The food was excellent. Just the town was excellent. I remember like deciding I was hungry at like 11:30, and Daniel Hadlock, who is the like chief manager of whatever, chief manager of fun or something like that at TMG. Like I said, hey, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get something to eat. And he's like, oh, if you find a place that has pizza, can you get me some? And I was like, sure. And I was like, what kind of pizza do you want? And it was some like weird eggplant pizza that he wanted. And I was like, ugh, okay, well, whatever. Well, sure enough, I walked like 2 blocks away from this Holiday Inn. And this wasn't like a Holiday Inn, like, okay, so when I think of hotels, I think of them as being like this big like building that's like set apart from everything else. There's a big parking lot around it, and you stay at that hotel, right? But this was like a hotel that like it was just another building on a street, right? And I mean, it said Holiday Inn on the outside and everything like that. And since, you know, I've seen other places like that since, of that type, but you know, that was kind of like what this was. But anyway, regardless, I remember I left and I just kind of pulled out the old phone. What did we ever do without our phones, right? And I just said, you know, pizza place near me, and I found some like pizza place that I was able to walk in, and I ordered a couple of pies from the gentleman behind the counter, and I brought them back, and like, yeah, we had fabulous pizza. Like, it wasn't even like, it was like just a little bit after midnight, and this place was open until 2, and they just made fantastic food. So I mean, that was just kind of like one of the things that I thought was just amazing about Philadelphia, was that like that was just an option. So I think one day I'll go back to PAX Unplugged. I think it'll definitely be something that I attend again in the future. It just, for whatever reason, it just didn't work out this time. But anyway, that being said, the first time ever the PAX Unplugged came out, it was the same time as BGGCON, and so I didn't go because I will go to BGGCON and I will support BGGCON every day, every year. That's just my thing, right? I'm lucky enough to call Scott Alden a friend, and for those of you who watch the weekly show, you know that he comes on usually more often than not. He didn't come on this last week. Like 2 weeks ago because of the fact that, and then 2 weeks ago and this week because he just bought like a new house and he moved into a new house. So he's been getting his office set up and what have you. But that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm lucky enough to call him a friend, and I probably don't deserve the friendship that he gives me, which is, because he is generous and giving and loving. And yeah, I mean, I just hope I can repay him in some way. And if you're watching this, just as a reminder, you go to BGG, BoardGameGeek.com, and if you watch the weekly show, I razz him a lot about being the $87 million man and what have you. But they do their yearly fundraiser where you donate money to BGG. For $15, you get the supporter badge, which just puts like you're a supporter, and like I've been a supporter since I think 2008. So I mean, it's $15. It's like what, a couple of subs, a couple of Subway sandwiches, just pack a bag lunch twice next week, when you go to work instead of like ordering out. And that would easily pay for it. And honestly, then you'll be supporting the best possible website out there that exists for board games and our hobby, and supporting a heck of a nice guy, and the people that work for him are amazing as well. But all that being said, and circling around and coming back, so BoardGameGeek.com, I always get super excited to go. Conventions are weird for me because I always think, I'm going to play games. But I mean, I never play as many games as I think that I will. But at Board Game Geek, I knew I was going to run into people that I knew. I knew I was going to run into people that I consider very good friends. And some I might play games with, some I might just sit down and have a meal with. I just knew it was going to be a good experience with them. And I was looking forward to it. So a couple of things. Some of the games I played, but before I talk about some of the games I played, I wanted to say that I ran into Joel Eddy, who, if you are a longtime follower of the channel, Joel and I kind of broke into the whole video review thing around the same time. Me a little bit earlier than him. But it was one of those things where I feel bad that I don't see him as much, and I always feel bad that we don't maintain, or I don't put forth the effort to maintain that friendship, because it is a very good one. But I did see him. I got to sit down and talk to him, and had a lot of fun. I hadn't seen him since Gen Con, and I remember he and I didn't play a game at Gen Con, but we just sat down and BS'd for like an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever. And it was really, really good. And I didn't get to spend that much time with him this time around, but he and I, did connect, and I really appreciated that a lot. Some of the games I played, and this isn't all inclusive. I mean, this is also, I have trouble remembering. I played a game called Overbattle, the All War. This is a game from Scyther Gaming. It is a wonderful 4X dominate the galaxy type of game. It is a kind of a throwback with tons of dice determining the combats. Wonderful miniatures, a wonderful storyline behind it. A game that's coming to Kickstarter later this year, and definitely I would suggest possibly going and taking a look at that and checking that out when you get a chance. Games that aren't on like Kickstarter or whatever coming out. I played The Crew or Die Crew or whatever. That was like that's the German version. I played that with Scott and a few other people. That's like a trick-taking game. That is a cooperative trick-taking game. So that might not make much sense, but basically what it is like one person is determined when you shuffle up the cards, you deal them out to everybody. It's trick-taking, so there's a certain number of suits, and then just like lots of trick-taking games, you lead with the suit, and then everybody else has to lead, or else they have to slough. And slough cards don't count unless they're a trump. I mean, these are all like very, very common words that are used to describe trick-taking games. But usually what it is, there's a mission where it says, like the captain has to capture the yellow card number 5 or whatever. And so the players can't show their cards to people. There's like one little hint you can give as far as what kind of cards you have in your hand, but you have to figure out a way to make sure that like the captain gets that. And if you do that, then you pass that level and you on to the next level. And now the captain not only needs one card, which let's say it's the green 8, but now the player to their left needs the red 2, and you have to figure out a way to make sure that those two people, so like the person has to lead and they have to get that card, and so it's kind of an interesting little way of playing that. Now it got presented to me as this like really, really, really difficult game. Now I don't know, I mean, we played like, I mean, I'm gonna guess 9 or 10 different missions, and like we only failed once. So I was a little bit worried about that as far as like the difficulty of it. Cooperative games, I want them to be a little more difficult. I also, I think people are really going to like it. I think that people are going to dig it, and they're going to be like, oh, I love this game. I want to get it. Because there's this much to it. I can definitely see it as a gateway game. I do kind of wonder how, like, I don't know, boring. I hate to say boring, but how like when you get to a certain point, how you might be like, I mean, like, oh good, let's go ahead and like make sure you get the yellow 7, I'll get the blue 4, and you get the green 5, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, the repetition of it might become a little obnoxious. Now, admittedly, there is like multiple levels to the game. And so it might get like more and more difficult, and it might switch things up, and it might make things more interesting. And so that's like, I mean, I only played that one session, but like I said, I'm a little bit concerned with the repetitive nature of it, and I'm also a little bit concerned with the how difficult it is. But again, maybe the missions get more difficult as time goes by. Now, it's a game that maybe I'll let one of my buddies pick up, but I mean, it's just a little tiny card game, so it might only run you like $20 or so. Technically, it's not out yet, so I mean, you could get a German version of it, I'm sure, through Amazon D or something like that. But yeah, you can go ahead and track that down if you want. Okay, next game that I played quite a few games of is Soviet Kitchen. Soviet Kitchen is a game that I saw at Essen, and I'm kind of mad now that I didn't pick it up. Soviet Kitchen, but again, this is a game that I also wonder about what the staying power of this game is. Soviet Kitchen is a game that has kind of a legacy storyline aspect to it, but basically what you are all cooks, and you have to, it's an app-driven game, so there's an app that you have on your phone, and you put it on the table, and then it tells you the color of the sausages and the color of the coleslaw that you have to make for the Russian soldiers. And what happens is that, like, oh, okay, so the sausage is blue and the coleslaw is purple. The players can't show their cards again, but their cards are all kinds of different things. Some of them could be food, and they could just be straight up like meat and potatoes and things like that. Or they could actually be like old boots and ammunition and diesel fuel and things like that, or vodka. And what you have to do is those things will have colors to them, and so you have to kind of say, oh well, we need a green sausage, and you'd be like, well, okay, I don't have green, but I have, and it isn't just like a straight green. There'll be different hues of green, like a radioactive green, or like kind of a bluish green, or a yellowish green, or whatever. And the people will talk. It's like, well, I think I got something that's pretty good. And then what you do is there's a QR code on the back of each one of these cards, and you scan that on the. This cat just never wants attention unless I'm in front of a camera. But you scan the QR code, and then it actually takes the color of that, and then the other things will, and then everybody else scans theirs, and then it spits out the food. And depending on how close you are to the food that the soldier wants, you'll either pass or fail. And like if you fail too much, well, it's like off to the Soviet gulag with you. Now, this is a fun little game. I do like the whole let's see what happens when we mix these things together. There are some card powers that you have, like grenades will make the next card put in not count. So like if somebody they're like, I don't have anything, there's no way I can get close to purple here. Well, don't worry, I have kind of a reddish grenade. I'll put that in. You just go ahead and get rid of a card that stinks, and then the grenade blows that card up, and it doesn't get used or whatever. So I mean, there's stuff like that. And the storyline progression is like, if you're good enough to serve at the front ranks, then you're good enough to serve at the camp, then you're good enough to serve at the capital, and then you're good enough to serve at the KGB. And so there's like a storyline that you'll go, and the game gets more and more difficult, and you add more and more different cards to the deck that you can possibly draw. I like the game. I think it's fun. If somebody had it for sale at BGGCON, I probably would have bought it without even thinking about it. The problem is like I said, I think the repetitive nature of it might detract from it a little bit. I mean, it's just like there's a certain point where you're just like, this isn't fun anymore, because it's just the same thing. It's just regurgitating that same process over and over again, and with like slightly more difficult or slightly different changes. Then again, maybe that's just me, but that's just kind of my thoughts on that. All right, so now the best time I had at the convention playing a game was I played a game of Carpe Diem, and I played that with Richard Ham, actually, obviously Rado, another person that I'm lucky enough to call a friend, and fantastic time. Both he and I had talked about how much we loved that game. We checked it out, and we were joined by loyal boomers, a couple loyal boomers that were kind enough to join in with us, and we sat down and played that. I won the game by like 2 points, I think I did. But the best thing is that I actually I took a tile from Richard, and he dropped like 7 F-bombs in different fashions very, very quickly. He might have been playing it up a little bit for my edification, but it was very, very, very satisfying for me to pull that off. So that was actually enjoyable. Now, if you watch my channel, you know that we actually did a live show from BGGCON, and that was awesome. And Tom Bassel was kind enough to join in, and like I said, that's a guy I've known for a long, long time, also a good friend, and he slummed it for us a little bit and joined us on the live show, which was really cool. Overall, BGGCon was really, really good, really, really fun. It's a little bit long, in my opinion. Like, you kind of get there Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you're there forever. And then like you leave maybe Sunday night, or you leave Monday, which I did. It was way too long. I need to like figure out ways to like go, it's like just to leave. I should have left Sunday night, maybe get in on Wednesday or something like that. It seems like at the time I'm always like, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. I'll be there for a long time. I get to play all these games, but I just miss my family. I miss being home. And so when I as much fun as I was having, and as good as it was to be around all those people that I really, really care about, it was way awesome to just be home with my family and be surrounded by them. All right, job situation. I just want, this is a really brief and quick thing. I don't want to make a big deal about this. As you all know, I work for Tasty Digital Games for almost 4 years. I was let go from the company just because, not because of anything that I did or anything like that. It was just it was a cost cutting measure, and no hard feelings. I give Michael Mendez and Seth Jaffe and Aaron Wolf and Andy Van Zandt and everybody who had anything to do with that company all the thanks in the world for being able to give me a job to work within the industry that I love for as long as I did. And just it was what it was, right? And so what happened was that I was able to secure a job. I interviewed for a few things at Gen Con this past summer, and I took a job with Fun Again Games, and I worked for them for about 4 months. And what happened was I got offered a job with Gray Fox Games, which was going to be more in line with what I did with TMG, doing more some game development, handling their Kickstarters, doing a lot of their marketing and outreach, convention stuff like that, convention planning. As Shane Myerscough, who owns and runs Gray Fox, when he hired me, he's like, "You'll wear a lot of hats," is what he said. So I expect you to be able to switch hats several times. So it was like I felt bad about leaving Fun Again because of the fact that they did give me a job and they gave me an opportunity. Jeff DeBoer, who owns and runs Fun Again, I have a great deal of respect and feeling for, and I care about the man a great deal, and I thank him very much for the opportunity to work. But it was just one of those situations where I got offered a job where I just couldn't say no. It was just something that I had to do. So there you go. So that's where I am with my job, and now I'm with Gray Fox Games. So yeah, awesome. Anyway, a couple of things that kind of stink. Recently, the world of the board game world, we lost a fantastic game designer by the name of Chad Jensen. Chad Jensen, if you are familiar, he is the designer, or he was the designer, I should say. He was the designer of one of my all-time great games ever, Dominant Species, and one of my, next to the top tier of best games of all time, designer of Urban Sprawl. Two games that I think are just fantastic. I was lucky enough I never met him in real life, but I did. I met him virtually on the Facebooks and what have you, and we exchanged words a few times. Seems like he was just a really, really awesome dude, and a really, really good dude too. And he unfortunately he died of pancreatic cancer, and which stinks. It's just that sucks, and my heart goes out to his loved ones and his family and his friends. And I should say this, even though this happened much earlier in this year, and it kind of skated by a lot of people. James Matthey passed away. And of course I'm blanking on the name of his game company right now. He's a publisher. He published Manhattan Project, which for my money is one of the best worker placement games to ever have been created, and the Energy Empire follow up to that, and all of the games in that little series are some of the Minion games. There you go, Minion games. Fantastic stuff, and James was one of the first publishers I ever met who supported my channel, and again passed away way too early, and we're kind of at a loss. We are less. The board game industry is less without him now. If I had been doing these videos when that happened, I would have said something about James as well. So yeah, that stinks. Anyway, that's all I can say about that. All right. So one of the things I'm going to hopefully start doing more with my channel is I'm going to be doing more RPG content, and this is something that I've been planning on doing, and for a long time, and I've kind of had some fits and starts as far as those are concerned. There's talk of possibly running a game online and doing a live show. Don't count on that. It's something I want to do, but the problem with that is that you have to get people that are willing to do it and willing to sacrifice 3 or 4 hours of an evening, at least every couple of weeks. At the absolute very least, it's got to be like bi-weekly, and it's tough. It's tough to find people that can commit to that, and for them, it would be tough for me to commit to that as well. So it's something I want to do. We've tried doing it on the channel before, and maybe that's something I can pull off in 2020. Now, speaking of 2020. I'm going to change my channel up. I've been talking about doing this for a long time, about having kind of a, not a rebirth or whatever, but not a rebrand either, but I have every intention in the world of taking my channel in a different direction. I've been doing this video stuff for over a decade now, and frankly, it's one of those things where I need to get away from the stuff that I don't enjoy. I think that I'm in a spot now where I want to just focus on stuff that I like and do it at my own pace, and just kind of enjoy what the hobby can give to me. What this means is that I'm going to be doing a lot less Kickstarter videos, and which I'm sure a lot of you just said, "Woo, that's awesome." And I'm saying, "Woo, that's awesome" as well. Now, that doesn't mean I won't do Kickstarter videos. I'll still do them, but the number of them is going to be greatly decreased. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm probably going to start doing a lot more role-playing game reviews, and also be doing like board game reviews, kind of like what I just did. I'll still do like real ones, like here's the game, talk about it, whatever. But I think I might have a lot more, like I talked about the games I played at BGGCON. I'll do that, and maybe I'll do a monthly review, my monthly board game reviews or whatever kind of thing, and we'll do a video of that, and I'll talk about the different games that I played and what I thought of them, and just give you my thoughts. I mean, I'm still kind of sussing out exactly what I want to do. I do know that I'm going to just stop doing the Kickstarter reviews, maybe do one a month at most, and it's one of those things where and only pick the games that I really can get behind, that I can really believe in. Not that, and that sounds bad. I've never done a video for a game that I didn't like. I've never done that. I've always really enjoyed everything that I've talked about when I did this. But what I mean by that is that I want to do videos for the ones that really jazz me, right? Just really make me stand up and say, yeah, this is a game that's going to be on my shelf for a long time. All right, and then segueing out away from there, I am in the process. This right here is not my office. This is my wife's office. This used to be my game room, and I just do the videos in here because of the fact that I think the acoustics are a little bit better. But it's one of those things where I'm going to I'm in a process right now where I am completely liquidating my board game collection. I am donating games. I am giving games to my local game store to sell on consignment. I am trading games away on 5-to-1 trades, things like that. I am just getting rid of the stuff because I have so many games that I don't play, that just have sat there for multiple years in the same spot on shelves that just haven't been played. And the area that I want to be able to turn into my studio is a complete and total mess. It is an absolute total garbage situation, and I have a vision of what I want it to be, and there's no way I can get that done without really just getting rid of so much stuff. And it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, if you live nearby me, I'd tell you to come over, and honestly I would just be like, yeah, here, what do you want? and I would load up your car and I'd ask you for like $10 and I'd send you on your way. So if you want to make the trip up to Moorhead, Minnesota, just let me know. But yeah, that's gonna be happening in the next, hopefully in the next week or so. I'm gonna get that done. All right, so a couple other things that are kind of random. Oh, RPG that I really like that I'm gonna do a review of fairly soon. Never Going Home. Google it. It has fantastic art, and the idea is that what if, like, basically World War I, the sheer amount of violence and terror and awfulness of World War I in the trenches actually caused like supernatural things to break through the plane, you know, kind of Cthulhu-esque kind of stuff. Fantastic system of, like, basically everybody's a member of the squad, so if your character dies, it's easy enough to replace them because, you know, another grunt comes up through the ranks. Equal parts of danger dealing with you know, like dealing with the evilness of men and war, but also like dealing with the evilness of supernatural creatures and things like that. Fantastic system, and I, like I said, I want to do a more full review in the future here. Maybe look forward to that in January. I think I'll get that rolling. But check it out in the meantime. All right. Oh, I might as well just talk about a few other upcoming videos that I got coming up. So I have a couple of Kickstarter videos that I've been working on, and I get a game called Hunes, which is some of the most fantastic art and wonderful system that I remember seeing at Gen Con like 2 or 3 years ago, and seeing that game finally come into existence really excites me. I'm looking forward to that very much, to actually show that to you. A game called Hell Rangers, another game of dudes on a map or whatever you want to call it. Fantastic skirmish battles, fun game. Gonna be throwing that at you. Because I work for Gray Fox, I will be doing a quick little overview of a game called Tortuga 2199, which is coming to Kickstarter in January. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously that's sponsored by my employer, but I mean, that's not really gonna be a review because obviously I'm not gonna review a game that like my company is making. But you know, I'll give you a brief overview of that should be coming out. And also, finally, from Forbidden Games, actually no, 2 more. Forbidden Games, Dungeon Party, which is a like a D&D game, but it's like basically beer coasters that are gonna like on a table, and then you flip coins, like quarters, like flipping coins in there, and trying to land them on certain things to accomplish certain aspects of like being in a dungeon in an RPG. Fantastic game, a lot of fun. But I'll be showing those to you here. Also, Arena, a game that I actually did a review of a long time ago. I finally got my full Kickstarter set of that, and I've been busting that out and playing it a lot, and I'm going to do a video of that as well. And so some of those, like those Kickstarters, those are like the last of the Kickstarters that I have. You know, so I'm and it's just one of those things where it's time, right? It's time, and for me, and just to enjoy my channel, and just to enjoy the time that I have to you know, give to my channel. It's the best thing for me. The last thing I'll 2 things I want to talk about. Justin Call is a guy that he designed a game a while ago that I did a review of, but he actually is now an author, and he wrote this book called Master of Sorrows. I love to read, and I love to read fantasy novels. This is fantastic. I can't. The world that he has created for this particular novel and the series, because it's the first of a series, is excellent. The book doesn't come out, and that's like a pre-press copy or whatever. I think once I'm not done with the book yet. yet. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. I just don't have time to read, and I've got so many books that I'm like halfway done reading, and then I pick up another book and I start reading it, and then I pick up an RPG book and I start reading it, and then I pick up some rules and I start reading it. But anyway, once I'm done, I don't know. I'm gonna have to like watch some book reviews online, and Justin asked me to do a review of his book, and I'm gonna do that. I just don't know how. I'm sure it's simple enough. I've never done it. There aren't pictures in there to show it to you, but very, very good. All right, and then the last thing I want to talk about is as you all probably know, I am a big fan of professional wrestling. I really enjoy watching every aspect of professional wrestling. When I can, I watch it. I'm interested in All Elite. AEW right now is impressing me. NXT is impressing me. The main brands of Raw and SmackDown are there. I'm a big fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I like watching NWA Power with the 3 R's. I like watching that on YouTube, but I kind of like just really enjoy the spectacle of professional wrestling. And so recently, the independent wrestling organization called First Wrestling, F1RST. First Wrestling was in town in Fargo, North Dakota, and my buddy and me, we had ringside seats. It was pretty cool. For those of you who know these people, Darren Corbin is the champion. Not Baron Corbin, but Darren Corbin is the champion. And he's a deliciously wonderful heel. Joey Ryan was there, which, obviously very, very, I'm not going to go in. If you know who these people are, you know who I'm talking about. And these matches that they have, I know I've seen their matches online. I've watched them. I know that like the stuff they do is the same kind of it's the same script every single time, but it's really enjoyable to watch. The wrestler I was really excited to watch and see for the first time ever was Orange Cassidy, who has one of the best gimmicks ever right now. He's basically like, they call him the wrestling sloth. He's like just super slow and doesn't get excited and has his hands in his pockets all the time and still wrestles. I was really excited to see him, but then probably the person I was the most excited to see was Tommy Dreamer. Now, so I really watched a lot of ECW way back in the day, and I really enjoyed just the mayhem that Tommy Dreamer would put out there. And admittedly, yes, there's a little bit of a how far have you fallen kind of aspect to the situation where, here's a guy who used to sell out large, tens of thousands of people, and he used to scream for blood, and had some epic matches with against one of my all-time favorites, Raven, back in the day. He was the ECW champion for years, so to see him in an area where maybe there were 100 people was a little bit weird, and I also, but you can kind of tell that they were just really excited to be there, and they really responded to the crowd pretty well, or at least they faked it well enough for me to buy into it. But the one really, really cool thing is that he had a match against Orange Cassidy, and then of course Darren Corbin and his lackey, I forget what that wrestler's name is, came running in and busted up their match. And then Darren Corbin ran his generic heel, you guys suck, why don't you, it's like you're a has-been, you're a never will be, yada yada yada. And then they challenged them to a match right then and there, and then they're going to have a hardcore match. And so these four people just beat the piss out of each other for a while. And one of the cool things was that Tommy Dreamer left and then came back with a bunch of weapons, including kendo sticks and trash cans and traffic safety cones and cookie sheets, which are cookie sheets aren't they bend easy. They make a nice loud noise when you hit people with them, and you can really hit somebody hard without having them hurt. So then this happened. And just so you can see, here is, you can see the dent. Here is, that landed right in my lap. And so I was going to have Tommy Dreamer sign this after I was going to go over and because they always sell merch or whatever. But he took a chair shot to the back of his head, and he ended up being taken to the emergency room, and he got like a dozen stitches or whatever in the back of his head because he got tore open. So unfortunately, I did not get Tommy Dreamer to sign this cookie sheet. But next time he comes to town, I'll bring it with me, and I'll bring a Sharpie, and I'll pay him his $10 or whatever to sign it for me. But I thought that was super cool that I have. This cookie sheet was used by Tommy Dreamer to brain another wrestler, and so that was just really neat that happened. But anyway, so there you go. That's kind of just everything I want to talk about. That's my November in review. I hope you like this. I mean, I guess if you don't, I'm still going to do them. Going forward, like I said, I will try to just basically incorporate everything that I do in a particular month. December is going to be tough, right? Because we got a lot of stuff going on. We got Christmas, we got my birthday. Woo, my birthday. And crazy crap like that going on. But I'm going to try to make sure I do this at the end of each month, and then and yeah, like I said, I'm kind of, I can see this little tiny dot off in the distance of like the beginning of kind of me getting to a point with my channel of being able to go back to what it was, like 10 years ago, where I used to just do the stuff that I was passionate about and not the stuff that I was scheduled to do, if that makes sense. So there you go. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, just be the best version of you that you possibly can be. And just as my grandfather, and I said this on Twitter a while ago, and he got way more likes than I thought to, but my grandfather, my dad's dad, he had a few Coors Silver Bullets that day, but I still remember him telling he had gotten a phone call or something and got in an argument with somebody, and he got off the phone, and I was in Washburn, North Dakota, and he went to the fridge and he got another Coors Silver Bullet, and he cracked it, and I remember this is the old pull tabs, not like like you would ping and you'd have the thing and then he'd throw it in the garbage. And to this day, and I remember he took a big sip, and he looked at me and he said, "Don't ever take any shit from anybody." And that was like, and I just remember the look in his face, and he was just like, he had just like gotten in an argument with somebody. I have no idea what it was about. I have no frame of reference, whatever. But I've always I remembered that moment, like very recently, because it was spurred by a situation in my life that doesn't really matter. But I realized that it was just kind of like, yeah, be the best person you possibly can be, but don't let people walk all over you. Stand up for yourself, and yeah, give love to everybody, but and give love to the universe, right? But make sure you're really focusing your love on the people that deserve it, and because you're gonna run into people that don't, and when those people prove to you that they don't deserve your love, and then it's time for you to take that energy and apply it to other places. So with my next time I do this video, I'll talk a little bit more about what to expect about the channel. I've got some cool things happening. I've got some cool things possibly happening with Anthony Riccano, if you remember that guy, that crazy guy. Really good friend as well. Somebody that I talk to on the phone on a pretty regular basis, and I'm sad because I haven't seen him in quite a long time. But anyway, take care of yourself. Be the best you, okay? And I'll be the best me. And then until next time, we'll just both try to be as awesome as we possibly can.